What's up everybody and welcome to the damn video. You're thinking, Josh, you're not having a good time again. Don't show us having a good time. Jamil. We are going up to Leeds to Mint Festival. And on the way there is a gnarly gym. It's like 10 minutes out of the way. So I thought, let's pop in there for legs. It's about a 45-minute drive from here, so it's not too bad. So we're gonna jump in there, hit a big leg session, get 17 scoops of pre-workout in. I'm gonna get it. Let's go. What'd you say? 4 grams of MDU. Leeds. We're in you. This reminds me so much of the setup of, it's the exact same setup as the festival in the park we went to in Bristol. The bed was there, the toilet was there, there was a window here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Off-white. RA Optics. Legend. Reebok.
Let's stop playing these silly games. Do what you gonna do. You gotta feel me. Records.
The day after. Jesus Christ. So we had an unbelievable night out. It was amazing. The day out started at 3. And I threw up on the fucking bus on the way home, in front of everyone. The shuttle buses from the festival. Oh, it was so embarrassing. Can you imagine being my girlfriend, or can you imagine being a boyfriend or girlfriend, and your partner's throwing up on a public bus, 40 kids who are all chomping their bits off, all staring at you. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Amazing night though. I've just done my 3,200 steps in the morning to set myself up right for the day. And I'm here to tell you how to set up an off-season. I'm here to tell you how I've set up my off-season. And we're going to go into it in detail today. Now we're going to talk about nutrition, we'll talk about training, we'll talk about everything that you can do to maximize what you're doing. So essentially, I've came out, I'm just over 3 weeks post-competition. I'm about 10 kilos up. Consider I've got exogenous hormone in me, so I can account for a little bit of extra weight being attributed to muscle. If you're natural and you gain 10 kilos post-competition, you've not gained any muscle, don't worry. That's just fat and water. My current macros, guys, I have 3 lots of macros now. I have 1 or 2 very, very taxing training sessions. Those being legs, those being I would call it like a nutsack day. Essentially it's legs and back at the same time. It's pretty fucking savage. Those days I have 260 grams of protein, I have 575 grams of carbs, I have 60 grams of fat. On my push days, my normal back days, I have 475 carb and the same fat and training, so 100 carb difference. Essentially that's just to meet the energy demands of the day. You can imagine between a rest day, a huge leg day and a push day, there is different energy demands across those days. And then inevitably on my rest day, I have the least amount of food, which is still at 275 carb, 80 fat, so a little bit more fat so we can get some more micronutrition from fat sources, get your omegas in, your vitamin, your hormone support and everything like that. Obviously not for me, but for you guys. Those are my 3 varying calories for the day. You don't need to do that. I find it very beneficial because I feel like I get the extra energy on those days. I replenish the extra energy on those days that I need to, and I downregulate my food when my energy demand isn't necessarily there. You can definitely find the averages of all 3 days and just have that across all of them. Not going to make a difference. The most important thing that you track is your weekly average. Your calories over the week will make the biggest difference. So yes, you can have 3 crazy high days and 4 crazy low days, and it will still have the same effect over the week. I would just argue it affect performance a little bit, which is kind of why we've gauged things like this. So that is my food. That's where we're at. I'm gonna get busy with some work. I'm gonna see you just after breakfast, and we'll go into training a little bit.
Money stepping in.
I go for a big breakfast. I'm a big breakfast eater. I love my breakfast. So we've got 100 grams of oats, 200 grams of frozen berries, 20 grams of honey, 20 grams of coconut and peanut butter by Meridian, I think. Egg whites, 300 grams of egg whites, 30 grams of protein, a little bit of protein from the oats, a little bit of protein from the vegetables here. And it's a pretty decent meal. It's about 800 calories. And I tend to add a bagel to this on my bigger leg day. That's pretty much the only difference. I just love a big breakfast. I just love big meals in general. This is pre-workout. I'm going to take you through my workout in a minute. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's so strange. I've not used this huge camera in public for a while, and I forget how big it is. I've been using my G7X, but see what the looks people give me today. Foggy. What's going on, guys? I thought I would do a voiceover because we have not done one of these in a long time. So I started off this session with crucifix lateral raises. Now this is a little bit different than your normal lying. You'll see from this next angle coming up that the seat is up on a nice angle, and we're allowing some external rotation there at like almost up and towards over the shoulders. This just takes the lateral head through the full range of motion, gets it to the shortest position that I possibly can, and going through that external rotation at the top just allows that. Having cuffs on the elbows reduces that internal joint pressure. Of course, I'm trying to think about lifting for a long time, not a short time. And the cuffs just allow that. Cables, because you can see even at the bottom right there, they're still pulling against me, so they're still adding tension in the most lengthened range of the motion. Something that a dumbbell couldn't necessarily do. This warmed me up for a big set. This is 50 kilos. This is 50 kilos for 9 reps. I cannot believe I did this. I've never even touched this weight in my life. I was so happy that I got this. Really happy. You can see before I even got into this set, I psyched myself at a big time. Talk to myself in the mirror. I do that a lot. People must think I'm absolutely mental. But like, my form was good here. I felt like I went pretty much the lowest that I can while staying stable through my shoulder girdle. And people are going to say, oh, this is like a 1 notch down from a shoulder press. Of course it is. I would much rather have my shoulder safety above like just putting a load of fucking pressure on it. If you've got that bench at 90 degrees, like the pressure that goes through the shoulders with heavy weight, it's not for me. So I just put it back on and save my shoulders. The next exercise, we moved on to a rest pause on a single arm raise on the machine. I started off with 12 reps, went to 8 reps, and went to 5 reps. Now, the idea behind a rest pause is essentially metabolite work, blowing those delts full of blood. You can see here I'm resting 20 seconds. It's obviously sped up, but I'm resting 20 seconds between sets. So 12 reps, rest 20 seconds, 8 reps, 20 seconds, 5 reps, rest 20 seconds, and just hitting that failure, progressing weight over time. Sorry for the dick shot. I'm going to change it. This is lateral raises. And then I moved on to a pressing movement. And I'm just having my legs here. I've still got the veins. I'm still pretty lean through my legs. I'm holding a little bit of water, but that should come down soon. This was 70 kilos on this press. This is like 10 kilos up than I've ever pressed on this, which I can't believe. Only one big loading movement on my chest because of the heavy amount of shoulder volume, and then we'll go into like a costal fly, which you'll see in a second. What's annoying me about this is you can see that my left hand is slightly out of out of whack. I don't know whether it's the machine or the angle. If it's the machine, I'll never use that machine again. My bodybuilding OCD is going to get me. This is the Costal Fly, so you can see I'm directing all of my force downwards as opposed to upwards, which I'll do on a clavicular fly, which you guys have seen me do before, where I'd set the cables a little bit lower and direct the same sort of force of driving my elbows forward, but up towards my clavicular joint. This is kind of coming downwards. I don't mind a little bit of protraction. At the end of the day, like, the function of the pec is to protract as well as move forward like this as well. But you can see I left this in because you can see how awkward it is to kind of get it in place. But it is worth it with these cuffs. It kind of takes the joint pressure off again, but still gets that stimulus through the full range of the motion of the pec. And you can load it quite safely almost. Versus like a heavy load, but really just taking all of these to failure as always. And yeah, there you go, great face on you, son. And then I just finished off with, this is supposed to be occluded, but I forgot my occlusion band, so I just did it without. This was essentially 20 reps followed by 15 reps followed by 15 reps followed by 15 reps on a dual long rope pullover. Now I use the dual long rope pullover for very, very similar reasons to the cuffs. It reduces that tension through the wrist, through the elbow. You got to think, like, the elbow and the wrist has to, if you stand with your hands out forward and you lift your elbow up in a bicep curl, you can see it doesn't come straight, it actually comes out at an angle. So when we've got things that are close grip, it just doesn't allow that angle to manipulate properly. And then I finally finished off with probably my favorite tricep movement of all time at the moment. This is like a cuffed lateral cable pull. Really helps for just reducing just the pressure in the elbow. It's a super lightweight, focus on pumping some reps through, and all around feeling good. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you soon. Is Giddy. Okay, so I've not done a voiceover in a long while, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just talking through the mechanisms, why I'm trying to choose these different exercises and why I'm trying to put them where. Because there is thought process. We're not just winging weights here. We're not just big meatheads. We're trying to get strong. We're trying to stay safe. We're trying to do it properly and efficiently. I'm going to talk you through how I'm setting up my training now. And this is a big thing that I get asked about. I currently train to failure on every single set, but because my failure and my intensity level is so high, inevitably my sets and amounts come down a lot significantly. Obviously, the lower you come on intensity, if you save reps in reserve, you can bring your volume up a little bit. Both work. I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I just prefer to go to failure. My mentality suits it. My urge to win suits it. Trying to beat myself when I know I've put everything into it. So the moment I'm running a push, legs, rest, pull, push, rest, pull and legs in the same session, rest, split. Now the reason why there's a rest day between the pull and the legs is because it is very taxing. And obviously I said earlier on that I have a higher carbohydrate day on that day. It's a very taxing session, so I need a rest before so I can come into it with everything. I need a rest after because I'm wrecked after it. Also a rest after my leg day. Generally having rest after leg days and or a pull day because they are our biggest, most taxing movements. Big pulls, big squats. Central nervous system fatigue is high. Going back into wreck your central nervous system the next day is not always optimal. I'm really trying to focus on growing my arms. I'm really trying to focus on growing my delts and my chest and also my back. Essentially just what you can see in frame right now, I'm trying to grow. So essentially, I've got a little bit more volume towards my delts, my chest and my back. So on my push days, I'm hitting both shoulders. One's more shoulder dominant, one's more push dominant, but both have both chest and shoulders in there. And both have arms in there as well. So I'm hitting my arms twice a week, my chest and shoulders twice a week, hitting my back twice a week, hitting my legs twice a week. So everything's being hit twice a week. Very high intensity. And you're going to see how these training sessions are set up over time, and you're going to see why we program things in certain positions. Even though I've talked about it before, it's something I will talk about again and again and again because I think it's very important, your exercise setup, because a lot of people mess it up. I'm about to sit down for a post-workout meal, and we'll see you later for a little bit more on where I'm going to go with this off-season. So guys, I thought I would finish this video off with a kind of a guide as to where you should go and how you should go forward in an off-season. Once you've established your training, once you've established your initial macro base, and just to go over a macro base for you guys, if you're an athlete, a bodybuilder, you could aim for anywhere over 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight for most people. I'm 100 kilograms. That puts me around 220. My appetite is crazy at the moment, so my protein is at 260. The reasoning being protein is much more satiating, so it keeps you fuller for longer than, say, carbohydrates or fats. We also know that it's more thermogenically demanding, therefore requiring more energy to go through. So it makes sense to have my protein a little bit higher. You'll probably see this protein level come down to maybe 240. Because it's thermogenically demanding, we know that it can actually impact GI system a little bit more in terms of stress. And food gets crazy high, and I've got to prioritize getting food in over necessarily the macronutrients, because it will get there. Trying to push our body to the extreme here. You could look to bring down protein and push up the other macronutrients accordingly, because we know protein would cause less gastric stress. So I'm starting high with a scope to bring that down, and then pretty much I'm putting my fats at 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight as well. Probably a little bit lower on training days to facilitate more carbohydrates, and a little bit higher on non-training days to facilitate more micronutrition from fats and less carbohydrates, because we have less glycogen demand on a non-training day. Of course, we're not training, because training requires glycogen. Moving forward, once you've established those two things, it becomes very, very similar to a cut, and you just progressively work those things up. You progressively work your training volume up, you progressively work your calories up, and you have to progressively move your weight up. If your weight isn't moving up, it's very difficult to say for certain that you're going to be gaining muscle. It's a little bit different if you're an assisted athlete, because you'll be able to see those visual changes happen, but weight needs to be moving in that positive direction and making sure that you are moving forward. More weight essentially means more leverage, which essentially means more poundage through muscle, which in turn leads to more hypertrophy. So don't be afraid to push your body weight up. There will be a point of diminishing returns where you get too fat, you notice that you've got fatty deposits coming on, more visceral fat. You might notice your digestion comes down. You might notice the arresting heart rate, blood pressure goes up. You might notice that you don't get as hungry anymore. You might notice that you're not progressing as much. These will be shouts for a deload and maybe a back off and a mini cut. But for right now, I'm only 3 weeks post show, so I'm probably going to be looking to be pushing for the next 6 months or so up in body weight until a point of diminishing returns, then cut back down, and then again move forward. So for example, let's say my macros are a 260, 575 and 60 on that big leg day. My next movement, most probably in terms of calorie change, would be like 600 carb or 625 carb, and more often than not your protein and your fats would stay the same until we get to that point where digestion is a priority and you pull down protein. So it's super, super easy, guys. Much like you would do it in a cut, you bring down things gradually. Doing things in a gradual change, these micro manipulations, I like to call them, they allow at any point for you to go, okay, we've put too much body fat on, let's pull back. Okay, you've gained 2 kilos this week, cool, let's pull back. Making a micro change like this, it just allows you to adapt. Match the input, match the output, match the input, match the output, build metabolism. And these micro changes are what happens. Whereas people say, what's the secret to a lean bulk? It's literally just micro changes, making it a small increase. And then you can make sure you stay lean. And then you can see if you make a 600 calorie jump up, that's 600 calories extra that your body's got to deal with. More than likely, you're pushing yourself too much into a surplus and you're going to start gaining body fat. So it's about just being maintenance, about being here and just creeping, but we have to consider we need body weight to be moving forward. So all in all, guys, once you've established training, once you've established food, creep things up, get strong as hell, focus on progressing like a motherfucker, and watch yourself grow. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is my off-season setup. Let's get busy. It's time to grow. We've got a pro card to get, and it ain't gonna get itself. Don't forget to like, drop a comment if you enjoyed it, drop a comment if you support your boy. Peace, everybody. See you soon.